Hello. I know I promised to talk about Israel Regardie, or we've been talking about him for the last couple of days here on Facebook. What we have here, if you can see the title, I can't see what I'm showing you very well at the moment. But this is the kind of the title page of the chapter concerning the degree of the sublime prince of the royal secret. And that is the 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. And this is from the book Morals and Dogma. We're going to talk about it just in passing today. Big book, cool book. And, it's not Israel Regardie's birthday, or I don't know why he came up. Our good friend, Brother Robert Flores, posted a Regardie picture and some biographical information yesterday, and we all got talking about Regardie. Constance painted a picture of Regardie. Regardie as a young man for a friend of ours who's written a book about Regardie that hopefully we'll see soon. But anyway, Constance and I both met Regardie on several occasions, but one very significant one at his home in Studio City. And then he, after we got a little smashed on champagne cocktails around 10 o'clock in the morning, he took us over to the Tail of the Cock restaurant in Studio City, and we had lunch together with Grady L. McMurtry, the head of the OTO. And I mentioned a couple things on Facebook this morning about that event. But anyway, a while back, the good folks at Falcon Press were reprinting a new edition of his Garden of the Pomegranates, which was a very influential book for me very early in my Kabbalistic magical career, because it actually helped me wrap my meat brain around. It helped give birth to the Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford, is guess what I'm saying. So they were kind enough to ask me to write a foreword to that new edition. And so I'm going to share that with you today, because I didn't include it in my book of introductions. Allow me to introduce. It didn't make it into that volume, so I'm going to share it with you right here. Here's the foreword. A little epigram from, I quote myself as an epigram, or Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford, whoever he might be. Kabbalah will never give us an aha, that's what that means moment. Kabbalah only serves to get the small wheels of consciousness turning smoothly until the big wheel of consciousness becomes transcendently self-evident. I'm going to begin my words of introduction by sharing a little story from my own life. My father was a Freemason. He was raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason in 1948, same year I was born. That same year, he joined the Scottish Rite and eventually received his 32nd degree and became a sublime prince of the royal secret. He was very proud of all 32 of his degree titles, which he often recited from memory, dramatically. But he was always he always dramatically deepened his voice when he pronounced the words, "Sublime Prince of the Royal Secret." He did it in the same way that I deepen my voice when I introduce myself as, "My name is Equinox, Stonehenge Equinox, Prince of the Royal Secret." What's the royal secret? Dad wouldn't tell me. His only answer was that I'd discover it myself. I wouldn't exactly say my father was a mystic or a magician or a Kabbalist, but he was a free thinker and an insatiable reader. He collected and maintained a small but respectable Masonic library and always encouraged me to browse it and read anything and everything that interested me. It was one of his books, Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike, that I found my clue to the secret. Okay. Strangely enough, it would also set the course of my own entire adult life. I confess I was initially attracted to this large and heavy old Masonic book because of all the pictures. Let's see if I can put a bookmark in one of them here. Anyways, I thought I did. No, it fell out. Well, anyway, you saw the picture when I opened my talk this morning. I was initially attracted to this large and heavy old Masonic book because of all the pictures, the spooky symbols and mystical illustrations. When I tried to actually read parts of the book, however, I knew this was way out of my grammar school depth. Let me just bibliomancy here for a second for you. Well, actually, that part's readable. Anyway, it's pretty wild stuff. What I could understand was enough to open up a window to the past, to a strange history of human thought, ancient gods and civilizations, exotic cultures and religions, bizarre mystery schools and magical practices. I also kept stumbling upon reference to something called Kabbalah, and he spelled it, Albert Pike spelled it Kabbalah, which is pretty standard European Kabbalist way to spell it, and the works of the Hermetic philosophers. In fact, there were so many references to Kabbalah within the text that they filled 2 full pages in the index and linked 65 pages of reference to this mystical science. Hang on for a second. And maybe okay. Do you see where the bookmark is there toward the end of the book? Okay. That whole bookmark was bookmarked. Just hang on for a second. I'll really show you something. This entire section is just the index right there at the end. It's huge. And starting with K, Kabbalah, 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 Kabbalah. Kabbalah, 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 Kabbalistic, 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 Kabbalah, Kabbalah. Why, it's almost cartoon day. Okay. One reference in particular would ignite within my quest for the royal secret and eventually set the trajectory of my entire life's work. Quote, He who desires to attain to understand the great word, that's a great lost word, mystical word, and the possession of the great secret, ought carefully to read the Hermetic philosophers, and must take for the key to their allegories the single dogma of Hermes contained in his tablet of emerald, and follow the order indicated by the Kabbalistic alphabet of tarot. Now, every little town in the United States almost has a Masonic lodge. It's a lodge. Okay, we're going for a lodge meeting. My dad said Masonry had nothing to do with mysticism, and from his level of participation in it, is true, except the entire nothing to do with mysticism was delivered in a very mystical format. But anyway, tarot, Kabbalah, Hermetic philosophers, Prince of the Royal Secret. My entire adult life has been an exploration of the great works of the Hermetic philosophers, the Kabbalah, and the Tarot. Ironically, within Masonry itself, there is little official literature dealing directly with the esoteric or magical aspects of Kabbalah or Tarot. With the exception of sublime hints scattered within the degree ceremonies of the Scottish Rite and his book Morals and Dogma, Brother Pike pretty much leaves everyone to their own self-education. I'm sad to report that very few Masons today share my passion. Hey, but there's more of them, a lot more of them than there were when I first joined the craft. Part of my self-education began with the works of Israel Regardie, and his Garden of Pomegranates is one of the finest introductions to the study of modern Hermetic Kabbalah I can recommend. 40 years ago, I visited Regardie in his home in Studio City just a few months after I read it. I was Regardie starstruck, and my brain was saturated with his writing, having recently digested his Tree of Life, The Golden Dawn, and I had a beautiful early Llewellyn 2-volume set of The Golden Dawn. I still do upstairs somewhere, I think. Anyway, Middle Pillar, my Rosicrucian Adventure. I had just recently read those. We shared champagne cocktails and soon discovered that as a young man we both had been members of the Order of Demolay, a boys' Masonic body. We giggled as we awkwardly exchanged the secret step, sign, and grip of a Demolay initiate. It was a wonderful icebreaker. Naturally, I wanted to talk to Regardie about his experiences as Aleister Crowley's secretary in the 1920s, and I had to ask the obligatory questions about goat sacrifices and baby eating. I also attempted a few neophyte questions about Kabbalah. However, what impressed me the most about the man was simply his personality and character. He was charming, but not affected, knowledgeable, but not arrogant in his mastery of the subjects, witty, but not cynical or sarcastic. Never before had I met anyone who seemed so comfortable in their own skin. If this is what self-mastery looks like, if this is what happens to a person after a lifetime of magical study and practice, I thought, this is what I want. Kabbalah isn't a religion or a belief system, but a process of systematically waking up to self-realization by actually tricking our consciousness into expanding. It does this by reorganizing our perception of absolutely everything until we observe and every thought we think. Kabbalistic thought allows us to expand our consciousness to be a more accurate reflection of the supreme singularity of consciousness. Call that God, or the great architect of the universe, or just the big whatever it is. As above, so below. The oldest book of the Kabbalah is the Sefer Yetzirah, or the Book of Creation, or more accurately, the Book of Formation. Nobody really knows who originally wrote it or when, but it predates all other works of its kind. And it starts right out by telling us, Yah, the Lord of hosts, formed and created the universe in 32 mysterious paths of wisdom. Then it goes on to say these paths consist of a decade out of nothing and 22 fundamental letters. Now, the decade out of nothing is described as a tree of life, 10 emanations, fundamental emanations, which number 1, Godhead, somehow emanated out of pre-existent nothingness. To our everyday consciousness, this process may look like creation, but from the point of view of Godhead, it's like being knocked on the head and drugged and falling asleep and experiencing 10 series of deeper and deeper hallucinatory dreams. Number 1 is the ultimate wake-up reality. That's who we really are. 2 and 3 and all the other numbers in the tree of life represent a progressive descent of consciousness. It's a cosmic Russian doll of consciousness. Godhead, dreaming dreams within 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 dreams. Until finally at number 10 we come to your sleepy little head. As above, so below. Kabbalistic studies, exercises, and meditations help us identify, dissect, and understand each level of the Supreme Consciousness so that we may systematically awaken from each level of the Great Dream. The 22 letters connect the tree's 10 emanations, and like 22 little electric transformers, each path serves to step up or step down the consciousness frequency or levels of awakeness of the emanations they connect. These 22 paths are the letters of the Hebrew alphabet and the, to quote Albert Pike, quote, Kabbalistic alphabet of tarot. Kabbalists strive to connect everything in the universe with everything else in the universe. We train ourselves by viewing every thought, every concept, every object as a reflection of every other object, thought, and concept. Kabbalists continue with this perpetual background meditation until the infinite unity of all existence becomes profoundly self-evident. The Kabbalist consciousness is finally realized as the perfect reflection of the divine supreme consciousness. As above, so below. And that was my my foreword to the a new edition, anyway, of Regardie's classic A Garden of Pomegranates. Well, Constance and I have a few chores that we have to run today, so I'm going to have to get my day started. Now, it may look like I'm in my shirt sleeves here, and it must be really hot. Actually, I'm freezing to death, and my lamp has gone out. Now, is that a Kabbalistic message? Is the hermit trying to tell me something? Well, we'll see. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself. I really mean that. It's kind of like a slogan I say all the time. I started doing it, and I'm going to continue to do it because it's like my motto, so far so good. I can't think of a better blessing. Be good to yourself. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love's the law, love under will.